Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. This will be an update video. I know those are lame. uh, for me, I don't know. Some of you find this interesting. Um, Basically, I've just been working my tail off on getting Downcast all wrapped up. I was hoping to just have all the files off to the printer on Friday, but honestly, I don't want to rush. I just feel like the editing process is so important. I don't want to rush anybody. And so I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm not going to rush anybody. In the meantime, I'm working on a lot of these, extras pages. I'm about finished putting all of those together. For example, here's the thank you page for those people that backed at the VIP tier. Their name is in the book. And so here it is. Yeah, the one page, at least at the moment. Uh, anyway, so I got thinking about a lot of these things in making comics. I get questions a lot about making your own comics, crowdfunding in particular. And I'll be honest, I'm still learning as I go. I keep finding new things that work better, better ideas that I steal from other people. And hopefully my campaigns just get better. Hopefully my comics get better. Now, in that process, because it's like I am the publisher, I'm a project manager, I am hiring people, I'm just doing so much with this comic. It's I think it's easy to forget that the reason I'm doing comics is because I love writing. I love telling stories. And so I focused a lot. I've had an incredibly success. I've done a ton of stuff the past, 16 hours. I've got a lot of work done and it feels really nice. Part of that was doing another round of revisions on the script, sort of dialing things in a little bit. And, it helps work on the pacing a little too, just to understand where you need to ebb and flow a little bit with the dialogue. But it kind of got me thinking that as I was going through the script, I kept finding myself wondering, like I would read a certain line or I would look at a certain panel and I'd catch myself wondering what so and so would think about it, wondering what these kinds of readers would think about it, or those kinds of readers. And pretty soon, the creative process I've noticed was super stifled, and I had a moment of a realization of what perhaps mainstream comic book pros have gone through. So hear me out. Mainstream comic book professionals, if you've ever wondered why there are so many tropes that often show up, that we'll call SJW isms, certain things that come up that have been pointed out time and time again, I believe it's exactly this. It's because not necessarily that those creators agree with all of those particular points, but it's because they're trying to make art and then they start to worry about what, these 12 weirdos on Twitter are going to say, what their group of friends are going to say, what the NAACP is going to say, whatever. Like they're just thinking about all of these interest groups that have some kind of interest, even if it's very mild in their book. And because they've got these voices in their head, it affects the product. The effect is that you end up with a safer book. You end up writing things that are not taking a risk at all. The way, like on my level, the way this works is I'll put like a couple little jokes or, and it's not supposed to be laugh out loud, crazy funny, but just little moments of some humor to break the tension a little bit. And immediately I start thinking about how, certain people, X, Y, or Z, are going to read those jokes. And if they're, not going to land flat or, whatever it might be. And so the temptation is to go back and say, I'm going to do the safe route with this dialogue because I don't know how people are going to react. I'm going to be very safe and I'm going to make them say something bland. All right. That's a problem. There's a difference between making comics, being an artist, taking risks, trying to do something new, trying to make the best exciting book you can, and making a safe book. Those two things don't go hand in hand. Not very well. And I think at least in portions, once you have your audience figured out, It has become really apparent to me, especially today as I was looking through backers' names and reading some emails and catching up on some emails from backers. It made me realize that I need to focus on those people that are actually backing my book and that care about the story. And so I thank you very much if you're one of those people. I really appreciate you. Focusing on the people that actually read the book and giving them more of what they like and what they want, that's the goal. And I think that's honestly how to find success. However, I can see for sure the trap basically of making the safest kind of story that you possibly can. Uh, and the risks that I want to take are probably different than the risks that you might take if you were writing a comic. Maybe you are writing a comic, but it doesn't really matter. That's sort of the joy of a risk. Something that is a risk for one person might not be a risk for another creator, but going against some established, ideas. It even came down to I was reading one of the villains sections, and I thought, is somebody going to compare this guy to Trump? I was just trying to think of how other people might interpret it, and how they might react, and I had to stop myself and think this is ridiculous because obviously there's no intention for that, and you could interpret it in many different ways. Uh, but I don't know. I just caught myself doing this a little bit. I guarantee you this happens in mainstream comic book industry for sure. It absolutely happens. That's why you see so many tropes popping up. Uh, some of it possibly is very intentional, and maybe some of it, maybe just a little bit of it, is a specific creator taking a risk, and that's what the risk looks like. The problem is when everybody's taking the exact same risk and getting praised for it. Is it really a risk anymore? I don't really think so. I think it's just sort of following a trend. So we're working through this. I'm really excited for it. I'm very proud of this book as I've gone through it. I'm very happy with the way that I wrote the story, and I think that if you liked the first one, I think you're going to love the second one. As for future books, I really want to remember this. I wish I had something. I'm going to write a note or something that says take a risk, because I think that is where you find greatness in writing. Anyway, so those are some of my thoughts. I know, just super kind of vlog here. No news, because all I'm doing is just worried about my own stuff. It's the tough part. I'm not just a news channel. I'm primarily a comic book creator. And so this is, me working through it and making it happen. So thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe. If you'd like answers to questions, I do get questions about specifics with crowdfunding or the comics process. Let me know. I'm kind of thinking about doing an updated video from A to Z with everything I've learned, essentially what you need to know to make a successful crowdfunding campaign. I might even do one from A to Z on how to make a comic book. There's so many different ways to do it, so it'd just be sort of my way. But I think maybe that would be helpful to some people out there. So definitely let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.